All right, welcome in. You're in the best session for the whole conference right now.
Oh, God.
Really honored to introduce Dr. Jen. This technology really is changing people's lives, and he has been a pioneer in this neuromodulation. So if you've heard of TMS, it's outdated. And he's going to tell you why. He is a researcher, extensive research in many populations who've been struggling with brain health in all kinds of different fashions, from functioning to performance. And he's going to give you some insights that are going to change the way that you look at your patients every single day. Here we're going to be talking about exactly the science behind EMBP. So again, it's my honor and privilege. He's working with a great team with Brain Health Leadership Foundation, which helps people actually get access to this kind of treatment. And we're honored to be able to provide this kind of care at Conscious Health. And so excited to have his full team and other physicians and providers who are supporting this. So please welcome Dr. Jen.
Thank you, Mark. Well, somebody want to challenge my voice, say that I need a speaker. I don't think so. The mic doesn't count for me. People usually get really mad at me. My voice is too loud and it hurt people. And I'm getting better. I learned a lot. When you get a certain age, you'll speak slow, right? Not because I'm slower, I realize the communication is a two ways. So that if you talk too much, yeah, you think you express a lot, but your receiver is not necessarily taking it anyway. So what a waste, right? So I go slow, louder doesn't mean it has better information out there. So I go a little bit lower, but I still have a very loud voice anyway. So today I'm talking on behalf of two companies. One is this Brain Health Leadership Foundation, and the other one is my friend's company, Nether Technology. Amy Nether, that's the one. Every woman here should be proud of you, yourself, because she is the only female physicist that Albert Einstein really believed that she set the most important foundation for our understanding the universe. Okay, she is the one that talk about the symmetry and conservation law. So we think it's so true. So we bowed to her, and then Conway decided to use that name for the company's name. So yeah, I respect that. Okay, so today I'm going to talk two of them, and I think my work has something to do with both of them. And today, initially I want to talk about the EMBP, but quickly I realized that I'm not that good of a marketing guy. When I talk about EMBP, and then people say, no, you should not say that, or they said, no, you haven't said that. So none of them works. So today, I know that Conway has worked his A off, and Judy said so much about the EMBP and how many people we've treated. Total together, collectively, we treated more than 20,000 people, and as simple as ADHD, as complicated as a vegetable state of patients, and comatose and stroke patients. I mean, you name it, everything. But this has also caused a lot of trouble for me. People in our medical community tend to think one melody, one drug, one procedure deal with one type of indication, which is the disease, right? You have a common cold, therefore you use common cold drug, you cannot use the others. But nobody questions, is this labeling, is this diagnosis a real legit system? I know in our psychiatry, by the way, I'm a psychiatrist. Anybody is a psychiatrist here? Oh, thank you. Don't be it, okay? Now, I'm a psychiatrist, but I turn myself into an anti-psychiatry psychiatrist. No, this is not worth studying at all. It's a bunch of storyteller, and then they put their diagnosis into this called a DSM. Okay, DSM is a statistical classification system, but the symptoms they're taking is based on the system called the phenomenology. What is the phenomenology? Okay, let me put it in the analogy, simple analogy, okay? You look at the tree outside, and if I pick up a leaf randomly, happen to be a yellow leaf, go to a psychiatrist look at this and say, you have a yellow leaf syndrome, right? And tomorrow, I pick up the green leaf from the same tree to the different psychiatrist, they call it green leaf syndrome. And sometimes in the fall, you have a red leaf syndrome. So you have so many syndromes on the same tree. But nobody knows how to look at the trunk or the branch. What is the converging property of this diverse phenomena? Well, there is a statistics called a classification system. They say, how many green leaf you have? How many yellow leaves in there? You have 50% of a green leaf, 2% of a yellow leaf, and then 40% some other color leaf. They probably call this green leaf syndrome. Ignore the other little things. But whatever it is, this is just a facade. This is just color. Nothing to do with the trunk. But my question is, I go, what is the necessity in the fall, in that particular season, tree turning to different colors of leaves? Right? I think this is something worth knowing. That's one thing. I don't think a psychiatrist is dealing with that. And the other thing psychiatrist has trouble with is that every discipline, you go to a medical facility, right? If you have a lung disease, and then they take you to MRI, X-ray to look at it. The worst case, every physician have a stethoscope. Well, these days, a stethoscope, even if it's a solid tube, it still works, right? Look good. But they listen to your chest, listen to your heart, a probe looking into the system. Okay, psychiatry is dealing with the most complex system, which is our brain, which is our mind, consciousness. This is something to know. It's just as complicated as the universe. Guess what we are based upon? It's a talk. Are you happy? He said, oh no, I'm crying twice a day. Oh, you have a depression. I go, this is stupid, okay? So that's how my dad laughed at me. Okay, when I was young, decided to go to psychiatry, you go to neuroscience, that's better, okay? And he looked at me and said, investing that much into medical school, time, money, and everything, right? And by the end, you like to be a shrink, and instead of cardiologists, surgeons, and everything, right? Your decision itself proves how dumb you are. And you want to convince me that you can use your dumb brain to figure out why it's so dumb? Isn't that the psychiatrist doing? Okay, so we debated for so many years. So he passed away about 3.5 years ago. In the hospice last day, he was still joking. He said, hey, son, have you figured that out? I go, I'm on my way, okay? So very soon I'll teach you. But that's the thing, because he was a philosopher. He always believed that the brain controls the consciousness. Consciousness is the products of the brain. That basically he quoted the Canadian playwriter's word. He said, if the brain is that simple to be figured out, then you're too simple to figure it out. Right? Isn't that true? Okay. So today, I pretended to make this really complex. Okay, so that's the idea. None of you, I think you ever heard about this called it's not working. No, hold on a second. It will work. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah. It's called bistability. Bistability itself is a complicated concept, which I will tell you. And you have a stochastic resonant. It's even more confusing. Resonance is already very confusing, right? In the stochastic meaning random, a noise, right? So I go, this might be an alternative model for mental health disorder and the new treatment options. And I like this word, alternative. Initially, I want to say novel treatment. And my dear friend Robin said, no, novel is a bad word, because English is my second language. I don't understand what the heck is novel or new anything. So I come up with an alternative, and Robin approved it. Say, yes, okay, that's an alternative. So first of all, let's talk about this. Are you scared with all these things? Okay, I know you will, but my intention is to scare everybody so that I want to validate that whatever Judy did or whatever Conway said, it's all true because there's a real science behind that, okay? Science is not supposed to understand it, right? So that's the purpose of it. By the way, we have a real science guy behind you is shooting me now with the camera. So that dude, take a look at him. Okay? He has nothing to do with you guys. He is a digital guy from a Bay Area, and he invented the MP3. Okay? So if you guys want to know anything, okay, he is the guy. And I don't know why he is here, but I feel like we have a lot in common to talk, right? Because I don't want to be a psychiatrist, so that's a reason. Okay, so what is the bistability? This happens all the time. Okay, let's put damn, this thing's not working. Okay. You have one. Oh, same thing. All right. Do you think my dongle will work?
Yeah.
No. Push a different dongles in there. Thank you. No, right here. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That's why.
You know we like these things, right? You can tell I haven't given lecture for a long time. That's the problem. Okay. Thank you. Oh, so bright. Nice. Okay. The idea, this is the function of stability of the system, right? So, but I use graph. Okay, you have a mountain, and you have two valleys on both sides. Okay, everybody gets the sense. Okay, if I have a ball, put on this spot, this I can, and if I put it very carefully, I can put an egg straight up, right? So there is a one point to give you the equilibrium that you can stay there, but this is not stable. So these things will tend to roll here or roll there. So the things is like this, okay? This is the function. You can have a maximum if this y is 0, and you can have a minimum if this y is 1 or minus 1. Then, so this slope or this change rate will eventually lead the ball goes this way. Basically, when y turn into 1 or y into minus 1 or y into 0, they give you these two status, which is a maximum or minimum. So anything in the maximum, this is called the local maximum, and this is a global maximum or global maximum. But the local maximum, we talk about a small system. When a small system has a high potential, it tends to lower its potential to a minimum. Okay, that's the nature of a universe. Any physician in the future, your mentor will tell you, oh, we need to boost up the brain power, give you everything, right? Increase your metabolism. That's wrong. Your brain will hate that. If you have a high potential, just like one of your colleagues have anxiety, the brain potential is too high. That's why you have anxiety, okay? You want to lower it. And I think 3 days ago, Google published a paper, not just another copy, another paper, to show human depression is the most important feature for us to cope with the stress. So people feel depressed, embrace it. That's the best state of your brain. Not necessarily for you. Okay? If you don't like it, it's not my fault. But the default state is the depression. Sleep, comatose, these are all good things for you. Okay? Then this is the phenomena that happens in so many different places. Okay, let me find a pen. I think I have a pen somewhere. No, not every pen. It's a very unique pen. It's a very unique pen. Today I went to the place. I got a lot of pen in case this pen is not working. Okay. You know the mechanism of this? Anybody open this thing to take a look at what's going on inside? So how that works?
Like twisty thing that when it pushes down on the spring, it twirls and pushes.
Exactly. You see?
Like a gear.
Okay, the gear like this. Okay, this is the one you push down, and then when this thing's turn, you have a deeper latches here, and then this thing's going down, so they push it out. When you push it again, this piece will rotate this little thing, then they get into the high one. So this one is one state. This one is another state. But this system never stay in between, okay? But both states are stable states, okay? So, but there is nothing in between. But if you work really carefully, you may find a moment that will stay in between. But this is not stable. It's just stay one place, right? This is a light switch. You can switch the light up and down, but never stay in the middle. But occasionally stay in the middle, right? But you touch it a little bit, it goes the other way. And then you can see cell differentiation. The stem cell can go sex cell, muscle cell, any cells. But as soon as you get into there, it won't stay in the middle. It just goes either this or that, but somewhere in the middle is not stable. Okay, this is what we call bistable, so that you can put in the equilibrium here, but it tends to go either one of them. Okay? Now, I want to stretch this. What the heck is disease, right? You all hate disease. But if I take away your psychological value, take away your social value of disease, let's only look at the organ. Do you think a disease is that bad? Maybe not, okay? Think about this. Okay, this is a normal condition. And then in the other condition, we'll call a mild cognitive disorder, right, MCI. Or you can look at the AD, Alzheimer's, or comatose, depression, whatever it is. But when you look at those things, all these publications shows that their glucose metabolism is all low, very low. Schizophrenia, chronic schizophrenia, the frontal lobe is really low in metabolism. If you ask your brain, assuming the brain can talk, you say, hey, don't bother me, I'm very comfortable, okay? My son said I cannot recall things. That's his problem, you know? I told my son, he's 25 now, I go, hey, son, I'm still okay, right? But if I get Alzheimer's, don't treat, okay? Because the reason I turned into Alzheimer's, I know, my brain knows, I don't know. My brain said, I cannot handle that much of information. Therefore, I trim down. I don't want to remember things. Things you remember is information. Every information you load it, you push up the equivalent amount of energy, so the higher the energy, the less stable it is. So that if the brain is not ready to handle that much, I said, yeah, I stay in low. So I told my son, don't treat. I know you're nice, you want to treat me, but that will be your problem, not mine. Okay, so that's the whole idea that brain doesn't matter, you know, what condition it is. Let's say I got hit by a baseball bat. Immediately I get into concussion. If you ask my brain, are you okay? The brain said, yeah, I'm cool, okay? I lower my metabolism, I'm very stable. Well, I am not okay, so that's me as a person, but the organ is still working very well. Okay, so that, let me take another look of this. Let's say you have sleep, right? Now everybody is very stable. If I look at your brainwave as Conway recorded, and your brainwave probably look very rhythmic around 10 hertz. Okay, I know 10 hertz is a symmetrical patterning, which is Conway's company shows, the symmetry. So if you have a symmetrical patterning, your information is low, your energy is really low, very stable. Well, by some reason in the evening, so far we know that's a melatonin or some other reason, then you fall asleep. And your brainwave all of a sudden turn into 3 hertz instead of a 10 hertz. If I ask you, are you happy? You say, I'm perfectly happy. Because everybody is in 3 hertz, then you're happy. So that's another stability, right? Well, if I flip around, by the evening, you are in 10 hertz, you cannot sleep. And then in the morning, while everybody is up and you're in 3 hertz, then you become a problem, right? So that disease is labeled by our peer. It's not me as an individual. If I live in the jungle without anybody around me, I can sleep anytime as I want it. Oh, it doesn't matter, I don't have a disease, at least in that sense, right? I can sleep anytime. So that from a sleep to awake or awake to sleep, these are 2 states flipping around. There is nothing in between. So the idea of this is that if I go back to the ball, what does it take to bump this ball to the other or the other way around to this? If I take sleep as an example that if I want to have the ball go over this hurdle, I need to have a certain energy to perturbation to drive it. But I know, assuming the ball here is asleep, this is awake, that I know in my brain there is an acetylcholine system from your brainstem in the morning, or for some reason it just perturbs the cortex and you wake up, right? In the evening, your melatonin kick in, your other environmental perturbation that drive you fall back. Okay, so mathematically it has proved that in the bistable system, there is always a maximum in between. Okay, this is mathematically proved. Don't blame me. This is not my job. Somebody said. So that in order to conquer this particular hurdle, you need to jack this ball from here to here. Well, if I have lots of a way to do this, for example, when I was in resident 1980s, early 1980s, I used ECT. That back time, the ECT was 3,000 volts without any anesthesia or muscle relaxant. So that's a way of like a barbaric punishment, right? If somebody is not behaving, 6 nurses just hold the patients on the bed, put a tongue scraper in the mouth, and I just shoot 3,000 volts in the brain, right? It was scary, okay? That's a way to shift the ball from here to here, right? But this is horrible. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? So there is a very interesting way we can do this is that by adding a certain amount of a noise into that little push. What the noise is basically bzzz, in an irregular ambient noise or white noise, whatever you're talking about it. And somehow the noise adding on a given frequency, there was a way to jump over. So let me tell you a story. For example, your car parking in the garage. I put a quarter in the back of your car seat, the back seat of your car. I go, can you tell me what is the probability? I know there is a two-side, tail or head. If the quarter is a head up in your garage, I go, can you tell me that state of the quarter in your car? What is the probability of a head over there? You go 100% because they stay there not doing anything, right? I go, how do I really see the quarter flipping, to give me the real probability of each side? The only thing you can do is by driving the car, right, move it. But if the road is so paved and the car will not moving, not bumping, I would say 90% of the time is still there until you run into something, right, or potholes or something. The real way to get it, you drive off-road, when the pebbles or the rocks is sort of like in the optimal size, the car constantly running, and then there is optimal frequency range that let this quarter to jump back and forth the most. This is the optimal noise added into the system to perturb this quarter flip. So this is the idea we call stochastic resonant. Okay, resonant again, I want to talk about it. What is a resonant? So here, my friend Judy Cusserman, she will know the most about resonant. Anybody heard about the Tacoma Bridge collapse? Okay, Tacoma Bridge is a metal bridge, very solid, big bridge, right? But somehow one day when a windy day, the bridge collapsed. People blame that, the wind is that gusty, that strong. No, it's not the wind. Okay, somehow the structure, the size of a structure, designed in the same way in the frequency, intrinsic frequency of the vibration, just matches the wind speed, so that it causes such a vibration. So that let's say your intrinsic frequency is 25 hertz, then all of a sudden your external stimulation matches this 25 hertz. It goes up very high. So this is the technology you are using. You measure the EEG at this frequency, and you stimulate the brain at the same frequency. This is a study I did 20 years ago. Okay, I published it. Your boss thought it was a great idea, but I said, dump it. It wasn't a good idea, okay? So the idea is that if the brain is really such a harmonic oscillator without any protection, everybody here will have a seizure. Epilepsy is a resonant. Is some perturbation triggered unstoppable resonate. Okay? The reason that we don't have that thing is because we have a variable pulse, never stay in the given frequency. This frequency doesn't occur in your brain. Why you see that in your EEG? I appreciate the first day you show me the EEG. That's great, okay? That EEG is your signature. It's very accurate. But the EEG based on your very long segment. You have 10 minutes, 4 minutes of a recording. Oh yeah, the mean of that frequency is like this. But in reality, if you look at 5 seconds of data moving around, every 5 seconds you do a Fourier transform, you never have this peak at all. The peak could be here, could be here, could be there, everywhere. But if you average them out, you come up with a very precise, individualized average frequency. You know what is this? This is called the central limited theorem, which is a statistical law. Okay? I hope your boss will understand this, okay? You're recording?
Yeah.
That's nice. Okay, boss, you remember that, okay? Well, fortunately, the brain never gives you that frequency. Therefore, when we do TMS, whatever the frequency you're using, yeah, you're not causing that much of epilepsy. Well, however, certain population of our patients, they have a tendency to have a seizure. For example, autism. If you use the same thing, a certain percentage of patients will have a seizure right in your chair. Oh, be careful. Better do you have a crash cart in your lab? Very important. The FDA will knock your door if you don't, okay? Well, here, that's not what we're interested in anymore. We're interested in this, called a stochastic resonant. So here is a frequency causing this a big resonant response in the brain, in the system, right? This is the same idea as you push a pendulum. I believe some of you are mothers. When your kid were young, you put a baby on a swing, you can push it. Let's say your baby is 10 pounds, and then you can use the 10-pound force to push the swing, right? But if you're experienced a mother, you don't need 10 pounds. You just need 2 fingers that push it like 2 ounces. Keep doing that. And then it will eventually become a swing, right? How you do that? Because you're so smart, you intrinsically know how long is the rope is, what is the phase, what is the frequency the pendulum will do. So you gradually do it, because your push is exactly the same frequency as this rope will do. So you're causing a resonance. So that small push out externally, you will cause a bigger response. 10 pounds of a baby will be pushed around, right? Well, here, you don't have a frequency. We found that this phenomena can be triggered by a noise. Okay, this is very interesting. I learned this idea when I was 7. I have no science at all, because 7-year-old, just as naughty as everybody. I have a 5 cents in my pocket. My buddy has a 5 cents. We went catch those crickets. You heard about crickets, so those are insects. These days everybody play virtual. Oh, we play dirt, okay? So we get a crickets and put it in a container, and then we set up a time. Let's fight, okay? Whoever wins get the 5 cents, and of course we get a 5 cents. We buy the popsicle or whatever. We just treat everybody anyway. So, but my interest of that cricket is not necessarily to win that 5 cents, because I like to use those grass fiber. I peel the fiber out of the grass to tease the insects. To see the insects, sometimes it will run away or turn back, fight my grass. But the fun thing is that every time when I tease it, it responds differently. Depends on how many other kids around. If I only by myself, the insects may not necessarily respond the most sensitively. Or if I have a lot of kids, they still don't respond nicely. But somehow there is a small group of people when they sit around, all of a sudden the insects just go crazy. I go, wow, what is that? Because when I was young, I have no clue, right? And then quickly I realized that this is related to their talk. Okay, wow, yeah, great, something like that. But I know these animals, if it's not a vibration, they don't hear. These insects don't have hearing. So there's a physical vibration. So I go, maybe it's related to their breath. So, I pick up a straw, from the wheat, right? We didn't have a straw when I was young. So I just blow the air into the container where the little insect is. And I blow differently, right? Sometimes stronger, sometimes weaker. And then at the same time, I tease the animals. Oh, quickly I realized that there was the optimal strength of my breath. That animal, the combination with my touch and the air, that will trigger the animal responded the most. And I go, hey, that was cool, but I didn't understand signal, noise, anything. I just have fun of it. But this thing's kept in my mind for many, many years until I get into UC Irvine as a psychiatrist. But I have a lot of friends as a philosopher, as an artist, and many of them. You guys all finished from college, right? My best time in college is that I like to have a wine tasting. I buy the cheapest one I can ever have and peel off the things, and then I invite artists, mathematicians, physicians, all come over, put a beautiful glass, okay? And then you let them taste the wine. $5 a bottle, two sip of wine, and everybody said, wow, this is such a body. I go, what the heck is body? But what I care about this is that when they have a little alcohol, you lubricate their brain, they start to talk. I learned a lot from artists, from a mathematician. Everybody tend to talk about their own things, but when you pull them all together, the consortium is gorgeous. So keep doing that. This is beautiful, okay? I learned this kind of things a lot. Then I asked my philosopher guy, whose name is Don Hoffman. If you got to get a chance to study that, his philosophical theories about English kind of experientism. He believed that the reality didn't exist. Whatever we see, you see me, that's an illusion. There's no me here, okay? What you hear, what you see is all illusion, okay? But anyway, I asked him to design the things for me. I go, on your computer, okay, you carve out a 1 centimeter diameter kind of a circle. You let circle flash at the 10 hertz. And then at the same time, you make a noise background. Okay, just like a detoned TV. Okay, I go, you give me 7 grades of intensity. It could be a pitch dark or very white or somewhere in between with those snow dots, right? So I asked my tester, I go, okay, you guys look at the circle, stare at the circle, and I record their brainwave response. You give a 10 hertz, then your brain will respond precisely at 10 hertz. But they varied in the height, in the amplitude. I noticed that in the one subject, the flashing in the middle is exactly the same intensity, but what varies is the background. The background noise is going up and down, right? By the end, when I plotted out the noise intensity with the same stimulation, it shows like this. There is an optimal noise right here that gives you the best brain response. Okay, next time when you study, don't study in the calmest place. Just look around. There's always an optimal noise level for you. Somebody like to be in Starbucks. Somebody like to be even busier, maybe a concert hall, something to read your Bible, okay? So there are so many different ways to harvest the noise, okay? I did another study. I put a subject in a container, oxygen container, and then sink that person into ocean. Whoa, immediately you have a hallucination. You can't stand the environment without any noise. You got to have a noise, right? So we found that, well, unfortunately, this is the Java things I cannot move it. So here, the yellow one is a sinusoidal signal, and then the blue one is a noise, modulating it, and then the red one is the timing. So that if I change the noise intensity, this middle piece is not changing at all. And then you will see this ball will move from one place to the other. There is a one optimal intensity of noise, and then all of a sudden, this thing will jump over. Okay, so this is the phenomena that stochastic resonant, all you need is a two very weak signal, we call it a subthreshold signal, that it can change the stability from one condition to the other. I intended to use this phenomena in the hardcore engineering to apply it into our psychiatric treatment. So that's how, when I met with my friends, Conway, anybody play Street Fighter? Oh, God, you guys are all trapped, okay? Whatever the money you paid for that when you were a kid or you were young, they all ended up in his pocket. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So he holds the North America license so that he harvests all this money. So I know him because he's rich. That's all he was. He told me, he said, he looked at me and said, "You're a psychiatry? Come on, just my dad is dumb, right? He doesn't want to care. He is such a fun guy, race car driving and all kind of fun things." And one day he came to my office, saw me behave almost like an engineer. He said, "Oh, that's something different. I never thought you could be like an engineer." And I give a whole lot of a digital signal, mathematical equation, and that kind of things. He said, "Wow, never thought a psychiatrist is doing that kind of shit," what do you call it? Then he started to help me, and then now he probably is the pioneer that help scale up of the psychiatric work. Psychiatry, you cannot scale up. Okay, it's a one-on-one talk, right? So he is the first one that really helped me scale it up into like almost, I would say 170,000 times bigger business, right? So that's Conway. And if anybody benefit from the EEG recording, yeah, that's him, okay, not me. Okay, so let's take a look again of our sleep, okay? In the sleep, you have a melatonin. Melatonin, actually, you can look at this as some sort of like a perturbation to trigger our stability now into a sleep. So the melatonin from our pineal gland, in the evening, then your melatonin increase, melatonin look like this, and then you get into sleep EEG. This EEG itself is also very stable, okay? So, nothing wrong with that. Unless you want to do something with that, you have a problem. So that disease definition or function is related to our agreement, okay? Then in the morning, somehow in your, midbrain or your brainstem, you have a whole lot of other activities, serotonins, acetylcholine, something, they shoots up a pulse into your cortex. And all of a sudden, you wake up and your frequency becomes faster. But either way, they are all stable. The brain doesn't care which way it is, right? Well, what if you are schizophrenia, you are Alzheimer's, you stay in this condition, never go back anymore? That's the time you need me, okay? Or you stay here forever, you don't go to sleep, you need me too. So I can never help you going back and forth, right? Anybody had an experience with a newborn baby? Kids are so tough, don't want to go to bed, because there is one way, okay? Put them in a car seat, find like a street with a block, okay? I know the American Transportation Department, they stupidly put the block in the equal size. When you drive at like a 30 miles an hour or something, it bumps like a 3 hertz. You put the kids on the car seat, you just drive on the road, I bet you 5 minutes you will guarantee to fall asleep. Okay, so this is the way that, it's exactly the stochastic resonant. Next morning you want to wake him up and kick his butt, he will wake up, right? So that's the same thing, it's a noise, right? So now we see some of the neuropsychiatric disorder, they all have the same problem, okay? Let's say stroke. When you have a stroke, first of all, if I have a stroke right here, I have a spot, right? That spot, if I have, let's say, 5 million neuron dead, it's so tiny that only affect me, maybe it's just my finger or my wrist. But why all of a sudden my whole body on the left side is paralyzed? If it happens on my left side, I can't even talk. But I know this area is so tiny. And if you look at MRI said, yeah, this is a tiny area, motor cortex, the frontal lobe, somewhere in the tiny one. But entire body is paralyzed. Why that's the case? Because the brain doesn't care about you, dude. Okay, the brain is a self-sufficient, selfish organ, right? So we found in our EEG recording, you look at in the brain of those stroke patients, half of the brain all slow down, okay? Because when you slow down, you can conserve energy. So that's the most effective way to cope with the damage. Okay, so the problem, symptoms you have is because of a sleeping wave on the left side. Nothing to do with initial injury. The injury is very tiny, okay? So that a lot of time, people can self-recover to some degrees, but a lot of them, the brain is too comfortable staying on one side. So Conway and I, we have treated a couple of dozens of stroke patients, and I can guarantee you, you give me 4 seconds, I can move him, okay? So let's say you have a spasm, right? What is a spasm? When you have an injury, your brainwave all slow down. All of a sudden, your pyramidal cell will not sending any inhibitory pulse to your spinal cord. That's why your primitive reflex come in, and you get into a fetal position. This is called a spasticity. So what I can do, I can stimulate your motor cortex to simulate the descending pulse. As soon as they're sending the pulses down to the spinal cord, the kids or the patients immediately relax. Okay? So don't go to those rehab centers without brain treatment, because the problem is not in your hands. They keep dragging your hands, sometimes cut your ligament. I go, no, this is all innocent. They have nothing wrong with your hands. Why do you do that? The problem is right there, right? So we have tried so many of them, and then we all wake up. And then also we have treated 14 comatose patients. One is a dramatic case, is from Taiwan. He was hit by a car. And the time when we saw him was in hospice. And then family and hospice was debating whether they should unplug him, because he was on a breathing machine and the tubes and everything, right? It's been there for 7 months. Glasgow score at 4. 3 is dead. Okay, so there is nothing, You poke his eyes, not doing any, pupil is not reflects any light. And parents are relatively wealthy. They go, Doc, can you help us? And I go, okay, I have to get agreement with every one of you, including hospice staff, right? First of all, you have to assume he is alive, he is normal. Okay, whatever you see is a sleeping mode, because the circadian rhythm in the 7 months has been disturbed, right? I go, each time, anybody who really stay in the hospital for a long time, okay, if you're dealing with the patients, you haven't been the patients yourself, at least be one at once, okay? It's so annoying, okay? Nurse will come in to poke your veins and measure blood pressure periodically at night. Next morning, when those physicians get a great sleep, come in and look at your eyes and everything, I cannot behave, and I didn't sleep last night, right? So that I said, I need to figure out this comatose is real or he's in the deep sleep, right? So I go, from now on, because you want him to die anyway, so why do you care about night checkup? Don't check, okay? So come in only in the morning. Don't touch him at night. They have to agree because the parents sign the consent. Next morning, as soon as sun rises, your morning shift nurse put him on a gurney. All the tubes and bottles are still there, right? Take the patients outdoor, okay? Assuming he needs, sort of a yard work, right? Get him into the outside. Take sunlight for an hour. And then keep the same routine for a week before we start anything. And I assume that the morning sunlight will start to trigger melatonin at the right time. Sure enough, a week later, he got into our clinic in Taiwan. We started to treat him. 5 days later, he started to respond with a hand sign, okay? And 10 days later, his eyes open, and everything, seems to be there. Fast forward a couple of months later, he stand up. And then 9 months later, he started to do a gym and everything. And the time when I go back to see him about a year and a half later, he thanked me, called me Dr. Jin, sing a song to me, and speak to me in English. Like, what the heck? 7 months in comatose, you still speak English. And now he's married, a graduate from college, everything. Okay? So this type of case, I'm not just trying to touching your mood, but there is a state you can switch. Okay? So that if your system lost the self system to switch around, and then that's a problem. So your doctor told us a sad story saying that in Europe, in Netherlands, they already allowed the euthanize procedure for autistic children. I go, what the heck, okay? So these kids, just in the unique state, and then we're the idiots, we didn't know how to help them, right? So that's our job, it's not a kid's problem, but somehow they allowed to kill the kids. Whoa. Okay, so now you see these things, so many different things that we can all treat it. Okay? These are the people that we treat all the time. And then we all have a successful story. Well, of course, if you are in the brainwashed by medical ritual, they will say that you are snake oil. I go, you bet, I'm a snake oil, right? So let me give you another snake oil story. When Colin and I, we know each other, decided to do a business, I was in a very big road show with 20,000 people in Angel Stadium, right? And I have a machine set up there, and I have my son sit there. He was only 6 or something. I put a cap on it, assuming he was a really a patient. And one family, both of them are medical professional, put their kids, 6-year-old, in a stroller, and then push over here, look at me and say, is this a snake oil? I go, you bet, it's a snake oil. But if I were parents of my kids with autism, I'd rather try snake oil first before I put a Risperdal on him. And they go, wow, interesting idea. How do you know I'm using Risperdal? I go, yeah, that's a routine, right? So I don't have to guess. It's always the case. So I offer them a little thing. I go, how about this? Snake oil, but I guarantee no harm. You come in for a week. If it's not working, you go home. If it works, why not continue to use snake oil? And the mother thought it was a great idea. She herself is a medical professional. She believes sample size, believes evidence, right? But to her own son, yeah, she doesn't care anymore. The snake oil works, right? Think again, why you need evidence? Okay, the evidence is a fake science. It's not really science, okay? So she came over. She drove from Bakersfield, 3 hours one way, to Newport Beach. The first day after treatment, the kids sleep like a log, okay? Parents get so nervous they thought we killed him. And they have to get up periodically, feel the breathing, and say, oh, wow, he's still there. But somehow it's not getting up anymore. And very soon, barely 2 weeks, the kid becomes so well. The talk, conversation, the potty training, everything. So the mother said, okay, talk to the father. You stay in your dental chair, whatever you care about your patients. I will take a break from my work. They bought a brand new SUV. It's a Cadillac SUV, huge, 7-seaters. All 4 kids take off from a school. Say, I'm homeschooling you. Stay in the car, drive 6 hours round trip every day to my clinic. Okay, stay there for 40 days. And then the kids quickly become a straight A students in main school, and then get a report card. She sent it to me for 4 years, every quarters. Okay, one day the kids become so verbal, and then she was a local Autism Association chapter director. So she asked the kid to get on the stage, talk about his own experience. And the kid said, I was just like your kids. I was difficult, I feel pain, I feel nervous, I don't want to talk to people. And now I'm a normal student, right? And after that, the mother got a lot of critics. She said, oh, you're a liar. Your kid's never been autism, things like that. And the mother, Susan, called me and said, Jen, I've never been so happy to be called a liar. Because that proves my kid is really recovered. I go, yeah, you're right. So this is the case now. Collectively, we've treated probably 16,000. Total about 50 to 55% of people responded that way. People ask me, how come nobody hear about you? I go, our government didn't like it. Okay, somebody said that pharmaceutical may want to kill you. Okay, that's the problem. I'm glad that you're doing the job. Okay, that's important. Okay, so this is the idea that when you see, oh, sorry, this is too dark. When you see that you have a stroke right here, and the half of the brain turned into really slow, the other half is relatively normal. And this is exactly shift to the state. So what I have done is that I borrow the frequency right here, add a noise on top of it, and then quickly I convert this piece into the same thing, and then bam, patients shift back. And this is the same idea in depression. Okay, depressed patients is so good because their energy is very, very low. This is a PET scan. You can see the energy is really low. Why it's so low? Conway knows. Don't ask me. Okay, Conway knows everything. This is the perfect symmetrical patterning. That's what his company is called, Noda technology. Emi Noda said that anything in symmetry, if I convert this frequency domain of a signal into time domain, you will see just like a sinusoidal wave lasts really, really long. So this person basically stay in a pendulum, never stop, right? If the pendulum continue to go like this, the energy never dissipated. It's always conserved inside. Therefore, you don't need additional energy to pump it. So that's why your patients feel so down, so low. No energy. I go, if you ask the brain, how the brain will say? The brain will say probably, I'm cool, don't bother me, right? You don't like it, that's why we want to treat it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that this state will be better than this. Well, we're living in the real world. Somebody cannot read book that well, they come to me and say, all right, let's treat you. But reading book is not a medical problem, okay? So if you take like a Adderall, Ritalin to get your reading book, I go, you sacrifice your biological system to fulfill your school need or your teacher's need, or your parents' expectation. I don't think this is good. It's more of like it's a barbaric. I don't like it. Okay, so let's do something no harm. Okay, that's what we did. I can convert this to this, or I can turn this into this, because both are stability. So what we did is that we turn on the stimulation, perturb the stimulation with a certain frequency, broader than what they have, and then immediately this thing's getting broader, and then the energy will jump from here to here. And all of a sudden tomorrow they say, hey, I'm fine, I'm cool. But I go, your brain probably is not happy about that. So they want to stay in the other states, right? Okay, so this is the technology we're talking about it. And this is too techy, but I have to say it. Sorry about that. The stimulation that you're using TMS, and I think, Marlon, you're absolutely right. We're just borrowing that generator, but we're not doing TMS. Okay, this is a note in the RTMS. We don't R at all. Okay, so that we use very random things. Okay, first of all, this red line is the threshold. So remember, we're sub-threshold. We never go jack the things and give you like 120 motor threshold to do it, because that will trigger seizure. So we generate a whole bunch of noise. Okay, it's a random noise. And then you have a modulator in the middle. That's a secret. That's a Conway's secret things. And I also add another sinusoidal signal in there. So after both shoot into this modulator, it come up with this called noise modulated signal. Still, they are all under the threshold, sub-threshold. And this is the one we shoot into the brain. It's nothing to do any EEG frequency or anything, and this is just a noise plus signal. But how to pick this up, you need to beg Conway to tell you, okay? I'm not here to disclose all the secret sauce, right? But someday, he will let you know. Okay, so if you buy his system, that's the things I figure. Okay, now at this time we have a two-way to do it, and that one is our patent technology, and this is another patent technology that it's a slightly more sophisticated, more difficult, but I like to tell you. So what we have done is that you record your EEG, and then you low frequency filtered, and then you basically let them all flatline. You take away all these DC shift. Okay. After this, I asked the engineer to calculate all period of each wave, any wave across this recording, and then by the end you will come up with a measure called the mean and standard deviation. Anybody has a problem with that terminology? Mean, for example, we average everybody's height. Okay, I'm 5'9", 5'8". You're 6'10". You're whatever the things, right? I mean, so, but doesn't matter. Okay, as a human being, we average them all together. Oh, ended up I'm the most ideal person. 5'10", 5'9" is the best. Okay, so I'm a mean. Okay. So, but we have a standard deviation. Standard deviation meaning that how scattered your population from this mean, from 4 feet to 7 feet, or somewhere in between, only 5'9" to 6'10" or something, right? So that there is a range, so that we punch the number of a mean and a standard deviation into a mathematical function called a Box-Mueller function. Then we will force this mean and standard deviation, the probability, into a Gaussian distribution. Okay? So Gaussian distribution, which is a simulation of our EEG. So the EEG looks very much like that. So with that, you will generate a whole bunch of a TTL pulse that will trigger your TMS machine. Again, we're not using TMS guts. We have our own computer outside. Then we work with the TMS company, and if you don't have a TMS company, they won't let you work on this, right? So you have to use your own to plug it in, and that's a whole lot of other engineering work, and I want to talk to you how to do that, right? So that's a digital maneuver, and then you get the machine to fire exactly as this function determined. Okay, you cannot do anything else because I generate the whole driving force based on this, and then you feed it back. Okay, so this is the technology we call stochastic resonance. Okay, so let me quickly go through some of the work. Now I'm representing the other company, which is this is pronounced a Noter technology. It's sometimes it's called Nerder, Nother. No, German they don't go there, they go t. Somebody called this a Neuter. Okay, there's I think most of the German, I asked an Austrian guy, pronounce Neuter technology, whatever it is, okay? So this is the first study we did it, published, sort of like this, just compare the TMS in the 3 different ways. We pick up the frequency of a human, every individual's alpha, and then as a control, we use all these 3 different frequencies as a control to treat schizophrenia. And one of my friends named Dr. Kevin Murphy from UC San Diego, he is now in the middle of fighting with the other companies. And the other companies sue him as a legal infringement of their patent. And he said, no, I'm not infringing anybody because I copied Jin's technology published 20 years ago. Okay, this is my early work to show that you can use your EEG as a guidance to treat schizophrenia. Their symptoms will improve significantly, okay, compared to the other controls. This is another study. We use this technology to treat PTSD, severe PTSD from military folks. And you can see their symptoms, every individual drops significantly, all 24 of them. And the mean drop is significant, from like a 57 drop below 30, something like that. So this is nobody really had this kind of a dramatic change, right? And this is another double-blind study of our PTSD, as Judy shared a little bit yesterday on the autism. The same idea, baseline, everybody is very severe in PTSD, symptomatic, and the treated group goes so significantly, as compared to the blue line as a sham, but only up to 2 weeks. From 2 weeks and on, we open up the label, let everybody to take the same treatment, and so everybody get a benefit from the treatment. By the end, in 4 weeks, symptoms drop, almost no symptoms anymore. Okay, so this is something we're so proud of ourselves. And Conway invited to go to Special Force in Defense Department, and I go, yeah, be an American citizen. We have obligation for that, right? So these people die for us in the front. And same design with the autistic kids, 24 cases. Placebo group, no change in the first 5 weeks. Treated group, dramatically change over the time of first week. This group was already normalized, most of them. And then from a 5th week and on, we give them another 12 weeks, another 6 weeks of a treatment. And you can see that these two lines are parallel each other. Whatever you started the treatment, the symptoms just drop. Every time when I look at this graph, I got a PTSD myself, okay? The first time when we had a study done like this, Conway and I, we went to our local Orange County Autism Association. They invite us to give a talk. I just show this graph. Their associate director, a geneticist, just pounding on the table, got a flush in the face, said, you guys are a bunch of liars, and just walk out. I said, hey, hold on a second, sir. Why do you think I'm lying? He said, I've been in the industry for my life. I've never seen things like that. Walk out. Okay, this is the field this is the world that you're living in. Our brain is so brainwashed, and then we cannot say anything other than what they're familiar with, even if what they're doing is failed. But they believe is believe. Okay, so if you believe in Buddha and you say Buddha is not there, they go, no, Buddha is there. Right? So that's a faith. So just be patient. So they are human beings. They have a problem. And sometimes we treat them. That's okay. Okay, so what is my conclusion? When you change your way to look at things, the thing you look at changes. Do you agree? Yes. Right? So this is the stuff that Albert Einstein's relativity says exactly the same thing. The time when you stand here versus time on the train is different time. And you change the coordinate, and they're the same entity you see in this coordinate and then move to the other. It's different things, right? So that never be satisfied with whatever you've learned. Okay, always jump out of the box. You feel so comfortable. You may see something different. Anybody sending your kids to college? No? Pretty soon you are?
Not soon, no. Well, 15. So
Oh, that's the age, I'm telling you, okay? Okay, maybe you're thinking to send him to medical school, teach medicine and everything. My boy finished college now, right? He asked me, so shall I study medicine? I go, oh, that's painful. Okay, don't waste your time. But he said, what do you want? What do you think I should learn? I go, I don't care what you learn, but only one thing you cannot not learn. And I go, that's mathematics. Okay? Even if you're an artist, you need to learn math. You know why? To me, that if we don't have a math education, as you and I, we can only see 3 dimensions. Ant or any insects, they see 2 dimensions. Right? When you see an ant crawling around in the leaves on the ground, they see 2 dimensions. We, as a human being, we think of 3 dimensions of everything. But if you study math, you will see 11th dimensions. That's what Albert Einstein said. I didn't say that. Right? But the beauty of it, if the universe has 11th dimension, why waste it? We always think about it, expand our life. Okay, you can expand your time but it doesn't mean you can see more. What if in a given time you can see more in dimensions? Hey, your life is twice, 3 times more than I can do. So I go, yeah, I want you to see more, to enjoy the beauty of this universe, right? So study math, then you will understand how much you haven't learned. We only learn 4% of the things. If you don't have a math, you just don't have an imagination. No difference from any other natural system. The brain is looking for minimal potential to maximize stability. Your brain doesn't care about you. The brain is a selfish organ, burns 50% of your pasta dish every meal you eat. It doesn't do a thing. Okay, you're dumb or you're smart, that's equal, because this is called infrastructure energy waste. You support that 100 billion neurons, you just need that much of energy, nothing else. Okay? So there is a book called Selfish Organ. I didn't write it. That's an MIT engineer wrote it. It said the brain is not that holy. It just wastes energy. It doesn't do a thing. Okay? So compared to computer, now the AI, they can process information at the scale of a 10 to the power of 24. How much we can do? 10 to the power of 6. But that's already a lot, right? So that you think about the difference. Very soon, if you send your kids into medical school, in 5 years, the career will be gone. You have no future because the AI already taking care of it. My boy from Berkeley is working on these things for me. He said, your EEG gave me 5,000 dimensions of a material, and I can use that to predict whatever the facility, whatever the feature you want to see in your behavior. Easy. 2 seconds, everything's there already. You think who you are? Yeah, it's there. Your brain already tells you everything. Okay? So this is the beauty. The future of scientists should learn more of math and the physics. Okay? Illness can be modeled as a physical state of a bistable system, which is exchanged with a health state spontaneously or by external perturbation. So if the brain doesn't recover from a common cold, yeah, you give them a little treatment, right? And if a patient stays comatose, yeah, we zap him, just to get him out. So SR is what we call the stochastic resonance, is an alternative way to treat brain illness. In addition to TMS, some concept can be applied to many other modalities, such as modulated light, sound, pharmacological intervention in line with the biological rhythm. Okay, so that I'm just giving you a teasing information that magnetic pulse is something. Oh no, you can do a lot. For example, Conway and I, we have a whole lot of other products in our pipeline. We want to use the sound, and we want to use light, and to modulate a deep brain structure instead of just a cortex. We want to help people with diabetes. We want to help people with obesity. Why people eat that much? Because their satiety feeling has been hurt. Where is the leptin receptors located? It's inside of your brain. So my cortex, my coil cannot reach that far. We've already figured out the way to modulate that without any invasive procedure. Okay, so it's already on the line there. It's been patented. It's already there. Okay, so but this principle is there. Okay, speaking about that, and then I want to thank you for your attention. And at the same time, I want to yell and screaming at once. Okay, Conway is this company. He will provide service for you, but at the same time, you need to help a lot more people, right? In this country, okay, we have companies contracted with us globally, many places, right? We are the wealthiest country in the world, but people are not familiar, not comfortable for paying the medical bill out of their own pocket. Many other poor countries, Panama, Mexico, Taiwan, not that poor, but twice as poor as we are. They have no problem coming out of pocket to pay for their kids, okay? How do we help all these underprivileged people, families? Huge population need help, not just substance abuse, autism. 2% of kids is autism. If you stay in their body, you'll cry. So when Colin and I were working in the clinic, that's why we don't want to run clinic anymore. It's too painful for me. But you guys are brave enough to take care of the front line difficulty. Help them, help the poor people. So Judy and I, Robin and I, we're working on the homeless people. We are the country with human rights, right? What is the human rights? Basic human rights is sheltering and food. It's a shame for our country. Okay, we're not supposed to have homeless, so we want to help them. How do we do that? They don't have money. Nobody will pay them. Insurance won't pay. Insurance only, they're the selfish dude. They don't want to pay anything, right? So we set up a foundation. BHL is a charity group. Find your way to help you, to find your wealthy people, whatever it is, earmark your money into that charity foundation, okay? You tell us who we need to treat. We will put the money to help. Again, by the way, that's your business also. Okay? So do that. It's so critical. Now we already have a tease of it. If we have a scholarship, we even contribute 50% of it, people feel comfortable. They go, all right, we can come up with half of it. All right? So this is the one, if I have any message here, I just want you to contribute to that charity. This is so important. We don't need money. You earmark it. Okay? Thank you.